I used to think I was broke because I didn't make enough money. It turns out I was the problem. In today's video, I'm gonna discuss why I had to break these 8 money habits in order to make real change in my finances. Hey, I'm Katherine, founder of Imperfect Budget, and I help women stop playing small with money so they can take control and build real, lasting wealth. The first money habit that is no longer serving me is feeling guilty for spending on fun things. Now, you can define fun things however you want to. For me, it was anything that wasn't strictly necessary to live. Kind of sad, right? I didn't feel guilty for spending money on groceries because I needed food to eat, but I did feel guilty for spending money on going out with friends or going to the movies. The problem was I didn't have the proper systems set up to organize my money. I restricted my spending, telling myself it was to save more, but I wasn't actually saving more either. I didn't actually know how much money I needed to live, so I felt guilty anytime I spent on fun things because I didn't know if I was screwing over future me when the rent was due. Now I've created a simple 3-step plan that helps me feel more free with my money. My basic necessities are covered, so are my savings, and so I feel free to spend my money. If you want to download the free guide, check out the 3 steps link in the description below. The second habit that is no longer serving me is believing that saving is right and spending is wrong. I used to believe that being frugal was righteous or somehow morally superior to people that spent their money. In my early 20s, I saw friends going out and taking amazing vacations, and I thought it was irresponsible for them to spend their money that way. I believed that penny pinching was somehow the morally correct way to manage your money. Now, to be clear, I am not promoting spending your entire paycheck on partying or buying a bunch of things that you can't afford. Living below your means is extremely important because you first need to be able to cover your basic necessities, then save for emergencies, then invest. But how you choose to spend the rest of your money is entirely your choice. There is no right or wrong way to do it. This is why I absolutely love value spending. Value spending is when you pick a couple of things that you care about the most, spend your money on those, and mercilessly cut out everything else. For me, traveling and my plant babies are my 2 favorite things to spend money on. They make me so happy. Things like clothes, makeup, new phones, I don't really care about, so I don't spend my money on those things. But if you do care about those things, then you should spend your money on them. That's the whole point. Being frugal to save for a specific goal is great, but frugality without a purpose isn't earning you any morality points. The next habit that is no longer serving me is tracking every dollar. And when I say every dollar, I mean every dollar. When I decided to start taking my finances more seriously, I started tracking all my spending in an app. Every dollar I spent, I tracked and categorized so I knew exactly where my money was going. Now, to begin with, this is great. I actually still recommend tracking when you're first getting started because it's good to have a crystal clear view into your spending habits. The problem was, I took it too far. I tracked every dollar for years. And instead of using that information to guide my financial choices, I just used it to obsess over everything that I spent. Eventually, I realized that I was focusing on the wrong things. I was so down in the weeds with my finances that I couldn't see the big picture. Now, instead of focusing on whether I spent $3 or $4 on carrots, I'm focusing on my savings rate, my investment allocation, because those are the things that are going to make a real difference in my life. Similarly, I used to check my bank account every day. I didn't have a clear idea of my monthly expenses. My discretionary spending varied from month to month, and I was trying to save money, but not really making any progress. So I just kept checking my account as if money would magically appear there. The problem was I didn't have any systems in place for my money, so I was logging on just to check that the money was still there and to ease my anxiety. Today, I have systems set up so I have a clear idea of my regular expenses, a set amount of discretionary spending every month, and automatic transfers to separate savings accounts. It seems so obvious now, but in my 20s, I didn't realize that I should have a separate savings account for things like travel. I just threw everything into the same account, and then stressed over whether I had money to pay rent. Which brings me to my next habit. I used to treat my checking account and my savings account as if they were the same. Spoiler, they're not. I used to just toss all my money in my checking account and use that to pay my expenses, use that to travel, and then get anxious over whether I was saving enough, because I didn't actually know how much of that money was for spending and how much was for savings. I didn't actually know how much money I needed to pay for my life. In a properly functioning system, your checking account is where your paycheck lands. This is the account that you should use to pay your bills, rent or mortgage, utility bills, credit card bills, etc. Then, every month, you should take some of your paycheck and set up an automatic transfer to a savings account. And here's the important part. You should label your savings with a specific name or goal. Emergency fund, trip to Bermuda, new car, bathroom remodel. Whatever it is, you need to give yourself a reason to want to save that money. And then, don't touch it. This is the biggest part that I was missing when I was younger. I knew I had to be saving, but I didn't actually know how much, and I didn't know why. So instead of getting crystal clear on that, I just let my anxiety spiral. Similarly, I used to spend my paycheck and then try to save whatever was left at the end of the month. It won't surprise you to know that this was not a great way to save money. Now, at the time, my finances were a little difficult because I had an irregular paycheck. Some months, it wasn't even enough to cover my basic necessities, and other months I felt like I was rolling in cash. But instead of just hoping it would work out, what I should have done was create a buffer in my checking account for the months that I was paid less, and then save a specific percentage of each paycheck. So the months when I made less, I would save less, and the months when I made more, I would save more. It seems really obvious to me now, but at the time I only thought in terms of dollar amounts. So I never even considered that my savings amounts could vary. If I had approached saving money this way in my 20s, it would have saved me so much anxiety. The next habit that is no longer serving me is comparing myself to others and then feeling bad that I don't have what they have. Look, it is so easy to compare yourself to other people. Especially as women, the patriarchy pushes us to fight each other, so we're so busy fighting other women that we don't have the energy to fight the system. So now, when I find myself comparing myself to other women, I do one of two things. First, I compare my present self to my past self. I think of how proud I am that I asked for a raise and got it, that I built a $70,000 portfolio in 4 years, that I managed to travel and eat out and live a great life without ever taking on credit card debt. And I'm very proud of myself for that. The second thing I do is notice why I'm comparing myself to other women. Lori Gottlieb has a great quote. She says, "Follow your envy. It shows you what you want." When I notice myself comparing myself to other people, it's because I want that too. If I see another woman making 3 times my salary, I want that. If she's taking a sabbatical to reset after burnout, I want that too. Jealousy is powerful information into our desires. So rather than using it to attack other women, use it to push yourself to get what you want, because you can have it too. The final financial habit that is no longer serving me is only asking $3 questions. Ramit Sethi, author of I Will Teach You to Be Rich, talks all the time about how we ask ourselves $3 questions, but not $30,000 questions. What he means is, when we decide to finally start taking our finances seriously, we tend to focus on cutting out expenses like saving $5 on your daily latte or using a coupon to save $2 on strawberries. But we completely ignore the bigger questions like, what's my savings rate? What's my debt to income ratio? Is my retirement portfolio diversified enough? These are the questions that actually create life-changing results to your finances. If you have an emergency fund, a growing retirement portfolio, and no credit card debt, then spending $10 on an overpriced dessert at a restaurant will literally make no difference to your finances. So, yeah, I've made mistakes with my finances, but I've learned from them. Looking back, most of these habits came from a place of fear. fear of not having enough or fear of doing something wrong. But the most important lesson is your money should support a life that you love. If you don't love spending your money, then it's time to take a closer look at your finances and how they align with your life values. If you liked this video, check out this one right here, and I'll see you next time.